You're listening to Pacifica Radio 89.3 on your FM dial. This is What's at Stake, and I am your host, and I'm joined in studio with Brother Sinclair Skinner, and we're talking about the upcoming Black Blockchain Summit that will be taking place at Howard University. Now, one of the things you said to me earlier stood out to me. Encryption. When I hear encryption, I think about security. I think about the inability to hack, the inability to penetrate, and that's something that came about, as far as I'm concerned, with communication, with the cell phones and email and that wave of technology. Let's unpack that. Now, how does encryption play a part in the scheme of things?
Well, it allows
blockchain.
Yeah, it allows you to keep the integrity of the information. I mean, I think, to be candid, encryption really started in Africa.
Okay.
When we start talking about hieroglyphics, when we start talking about the origins of language, of course we know the first civilizations came out of Africa. So again, that was innovation, language, being able to convey information in a way that at the end of the day, we were clear what you said and no one could change it. Mm-hmm. And even the fact that certain people don't know or can't read hieroglyphics or didn't know certain languages that we were speaking. That was the point. This was not for everyone.
Like the talking drum.
That's right. So just like the talking. So much of what we call innovation, we somehow associate it with westernization, but whatever we call the West is very, very young and very new. What we've been civilized for thousands and thousands of years. So there's not going to be any innovation, including cryptography, that you can't go back to the African origins. And what happens oftentimes, the people who are telling the story of technology don't have a proper understanding of history. So they'll start someplace in Greece, mm-hmm. when we know there's no intellect that comes out of Greece that didn't originate out of Africa. There's no Renaissance that comes from European intellectualism. It comes from Asian and African intellectualism. So when we talk about cryptography, we're talking about a way to secure information so it maintains its integrity. So that when we talk about transferring data like a photograph, when you transfer a photograph to someone, they can make copies of it.
Right.
When we have encrypted data, they can't make copies of it. So now we're able to prevent people from counterfeiting. So the Bitcoin, which is the most prolific blockchain application, has never been hacked. So when you talking about the hashing power, when you start talking about the number of folks processing these transactions, it's reached a level of a network effect that's very powerful and very difficult to undo. Now, you do have other blockchains that use different methodologies. You have proof of work, proof of stake, and we may even talk about something that we're working with other folks called proof of blackness. But and the reality is that these different protocols allow you to leverage a decentralized way of allowing information to keep its integrity and allow for multiple people to maintain it without some centralized company like Google or Microsoft or some of these other ones. So in a real way, we're talking about something that's more African than anything. These nation states, when people talk about Africa is not a country, of course it's not. But
it's a continent with many countries.
With many countries. But even thinking about these countries, those 54 countries weren't developed by African people. These were imposed upon us. We are a decentralized people. There's over 2,000 languages in Africa. Mm-hmm. So we've never had a problem with having people have a level of self-determination or groups of folks coexisting.